All righty, Washington football team at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers. Now, this is a very interesting kind of line move here, and I'm certainly interested, Stephen, to think why you think that this happened. This thing was pushing 10, and it was teetering at 9.5, 9.5, 9.5. We are now seeing 7.5s across the board on the Green Bay Packers. This thing has dropped 2 full points in the last 24 hours. We're sitting at 49 as a total here. Look, if we were waiting on some injury news coming out of the Washington football team that like a couple of that the running back or that, whatever was going to play and all that, and that's moving this line 2 full points, I think people are going about this really, really, really wrong. I think they are going about this the wrong way for sure. I mean, if you look at the Packers injury report, it's not anything that would make you want to not play them. It would not be anything that would make you move against them on the line as well. And if anything, again, we're looking at Antonio Gibson, Curtis Samuel, DNPing at practice for Washington. So what was behind this thing moving 2 points?
I think it was the market rejecting the Packers being rated equally with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, that's if you do the math on that spread, then you're looking just from a week ago, the Chiefs were 6.5 point favorites on the road at Washington. So 7.5, 8 points on a neutral. And if you go with the Packers as 10 point favorites at home, subtract a point and a half for home field, you're basically putting them on par with the Kansas City Chiefs, which even with the Chiefs' struggles, the market has completely rejected that at this point. And I think, honestly, the Packers are a team with some upward trajectory here as the season goes on. Our senior writer, Mo Nawara, points out that even in the games that they did not cover, that there were some fluky things that took place in those games, some special teams situations, some missed field goals with the Cincinnati game. So this team does have the potential to be one of the elite teams in the NFL, but at this point, they totally rejected them being on par with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, with that being said, Matt, the number has now come down into an area where I am excited to tease them. It's not the perfect teaser situation. The total's still a little bit high, but you're basically now asking me to if I'm comfortable with the Packers just winning this game at less than with a teaser line that's less than a field goal. Very comfortable with that. I mean, Taylor Heineke has been trash. The organization clearly knows that. The rumors are that there's potentially a 3-team trade in the works here where Washington acquires Tua from Miami and Watson goes to Miami. So whether you actually think that's going to happen or not before the trade deadline, I'm not really bullish on that actually happening in November. But regardless, it's clear that Washington does not believe in Taylor Heineke as a viable starting quarterback in this league. Combine that with the injuries to their major weapons on offense, and I think this Packers team should win this game fairly easily. If maybe they don't cover 10, but I think they're going to win the game. Therefore, teaser leg for me.
Brad, we've got a Washington offense that has really struggled. You were talking about this even a few weeks ago, that maybe teams have started to figure out Taylor Heineke, and any of that early success that he was having was just because there wasn't any tape on him, and a lot of these teams didn't know exactly how to go ahead and adjust. But you were all over the fact that maybe that was changing. He has looked really rough here over the last few weeks. This offense down into the bottom third in pretty much all statistical categories, pretty much every one of the advanced stuff that we look at. On the defensive side of the ball, I think it's been where the real disappointment has been here for this Washington team, who everybody thought was a top 5 unit entering this season, and they have been anything but, to the tune of, on DVOA, being down in the bottom 3. If you look at their pass defense, according to Pro Football Focus, only one team has been worse than they've been so far this year. So yeah, real big disappointment on the defensive side of the ball. But I guess my question to you in all of this is, does it worry you at all about this Green Bay team that they are essentially a one-man show? I mean, we are looking at Davante Adams right now, and this is insanity. He is getting 36.5% of the targets for this team. More than one in every 3 passes that leaves Aaron Rodgers' hands is going towards Davante Adams. Is there not a point that you believe that defenses will somehow be able to scheme him out of a game. And then this Packers offense, like when you start having to rely on the corpse of Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard and all these things like that these guys aren't going to be able to move the ball.
No one stopped it yet. And given what we know about the Washington secondary, I don't think they're going to be the team to do it. I mean, that is really the weakness of the Washington team, right? The defensive line is still pretty good. Is 8th in pass rush win rate, but they're just not getting home because they cannot cover anyone on the back end. So I think to expect them to turn around and suddenly figure out how to stop someone that no one else in the NFL has stopped for a couple of years now, I think is way too much. And then on the other side of the ball, you laid it out. Taylor Heineke is just getting worse and worse each week as the league gets more tape on him. Like he doesn't really have an arm. He is a mini Fitzpatrick in that he wants to be aggressive and throw the ball down the field, but he just doesn't have the physical tools to do it. And then you asked Stephen about these injury reports. Well, I'm surprised the money's not come back for Green Bay yet, and I think it will, because the Washington both tackles didn't practice. They've got their Brandon Scherf there, kind of one of their key cogs at guard. All the weapons you mentioned, the running back Antonio Gibson, and Green Bay relatively healthy by comparison. So I suspect this gets back up to 9 or 9.5 because. I don't really see how Washington is good or better than Green Bay in any part of this game.
Steven, you and I are simpatico on this one, my friend. As soon as this thing dropped back into teaser range, I hit it early and often. So anything that I was looking to pair with a teaser leg this week got hit right here on this one. I mean, I do not get this line movement. I don't understand why it has come against the Packers, especially when like we said, I mean, if anything, the injury report for Washington should have gone ahead and pushed it to 10, should have gone ahead and pushed it to double digits, not brought it back 2 points the other direction. So the one thing I will say is there is a big disagreement between the rest of country sports books and what's going on in Vegas. Like there are still a lot of 9s in Vegas right now, as comparatively where it is 7.5 universally across the board at the rest of these books across the country. So if you are listening to this in one of those jurisdictions, be sure and take advantage of this, where again, like I said, a lot of the books in Vegas are holding pat at 9 right now, and they did not come off of this kind of pushing double digits type spread right here. So it's one of the weird times where we do see a disagreement with the Vegas books and the rest of country books.
Matt, we've seen reports of what they're calling head fakes throughout NFL season, where in the early week, there's going to be money on one side and there's lower limits, and they're starting to move the line down because they see sharp money. And then come kickoff, when the limits are higher, they pound the other side of it. Does this look like one of those situations, considering that Vegas hasn't moved the line? Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It's like, are they trying to get it to 7 and then come back if it does actually hit 7 and just destroy it if it does hit 7? Yeah, I don't know. But man, it is confusing to me. We shall see where it all ends up, but you would have to believe that this thing starts moving back the other direction.